invited team from somewhere else, probably somebody in the region, a California team, a New Mexico team, or somebody from Arizona, and would go play. And they would go play at Arizona Stadium, and there would be just a day of games, one game for each of the weight classes, or and we were midgets, so that was the name of our the class we were in, and we went undefeated, won the city championship, and played a team from Phoenix and beat them. So we went.
This is 1972.
This would have been about 1972, and it was called the Copper Bowl, and you'd play at Arizona Stadium, and there would be just a day of games with all the youth football team, and it was so cool. You're playing at Arizona Stadium, and it was neat. So it was fun.
Well, this is a show that goes back in the day.
We go back in the day, and we're talking nearly 50 years.
We'll talk local and national news. Let me tell you, we've been talking about NBA and NFL, Major League Baseball. In the last few days, it's kind of like the winds have blown the other way now. My bet now is they might not have NBA, and who knows about baseball.
I don't know about baseball. It's getting scary. I'm looking at a statement from the Major League Players Association. No, from Tony Clark, the Major League Baseball Players Association, and it's all this finger pointing. Everybody's pointing fingers at each other, and it's all. I don't know if it's going to come together. And then you got the NBA. Now you got players saying we don't want to play.
Right.
So I don't know what's going to happen there. People aren't comfortable with it. So I don't know. It all looked good for a while there. On the good side, there were athletes on campus at Arizona Stadium today, and it looked like they've got a setup that
Did you see it?
There was David Kelly from KVOA posted a video that showed what it looked like in Arizona Stadium, and they've got those tents set up every 10 or 15 yards, like maybe 20 yards even, and it looks like the players are going to work out in those areas and socially distance and all that kind of stuff. But I guess we'll just kind of see how it goes. They're going to do this for a week, and then we'll have a sense of are players getting the virus? Are they being tested? All that stuff. And then if they bring in another 30 players next week, then we know whatever they're doing is working.
We had Dave Hickey on last week, and the one thing that we didn't really catch, or maybe I just realized it now, is he said they're going to have 100 and some there, that they're going to have people who test. They're going to be tested positive.
Right. They know that.
They know that. It's not the who or the when, but they know that. You have 100 test cases,
right?
You're going to have some,
right?
So they're prepared for that,
right? Yeah. The question is, what happens,
right?
And they have a protocol,
right? And
he said it's very, he went into it and said it's very complicated because it's like, okay, when does this player test? Did somebody test positive as soon as they got here? So now they know that came from somewhere outside the campus, or do they test positive after they got here and now they know who they've been around? And they've got to isolate not only that person, but the other student athletes that were also that were in that what they're calling their pod.
This is as the world turns.
Oh man, I'm telling you, right now is a time that I'm happy I never was good enough academically to be a doctor.
This is the one time.
This is it. I don't know that you can pay doctors enough right now. Doctors and nurses and people in the medical field.
Scary.
I don't think you can pay them enough to be risking. And somebody like a trainer. Okay, so you've got a U of A football trainer who's around these athletes,
right? And
if one of those athletes turns up positive, now has the trainer been exposed to that? It just doesn't sound like a place that I want to be.
No. I'm sure, and you have a lot of the heroes, like you call them, but they're in the mix. They're in the mix, and people are going to that,
right?
To deal. They not enjoy, but it's part of who they are.
That's who they are. That's why they got in. They say that's why they got in the profession is to take care of people and help in these kinds of situations. But, oh man.
Yeah, no, tough times for everybody around, especially for them. Hey, let's take a quick break. Hope we get Julius on the phone here on 1030 The Voice.
Listen to the live stream and find podcasts of your favorite shows at kvoi.com.
There's a place in our house For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
These days, most families are concerned with having the right insurance coverage. Protecting your family, home, auto, and other valuable possessions can be challenging and sometimes expensive. Crest Insurance gives you flexible options and solutions while saving you money. Insurance is not one size fits all, and at Crest, we find the coverage that's best for you and your family. Visit us online at www.crestins.com or call us toll free at 888-881-5765.
1030 The Voice is committed to supporting our local businesses. Many are struggling. We want to help them get the word out that they're still open and ready to serve you. Go to kvoi.com, click on the Stay Tucson Strong page, where you can find a link to support our business partners. You can make your dollar count by buying from local businesses and in return, help them keep their workers employed. Find out more at kvoi.com. Together, we can stay Tucson strong with 1030 The Voice. The Old Pueblo's a place with a lot of great stories to tell. You can find all episodes of the Tucson History Podcast from 1030 The Voice at kvoi.com, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. From the 1967 food giant jet crash to legendary Arizona coach Fred Snowden to the tales of Tucson's days as a Confederate capital, the Tucson History Podcast from 1030 The Voice is concise and always entertaining. Download them now at Google Play, Apple Podcasts, and kvoi.com.
1030 The Voice. In times of crisis, information is vital.
The United States Surgeon General, Admiral Adams, welcome.
Great to talk with you again, Hugh.
Senator Mitch McConnell.
Good morning, Hugh. Glad to be with you.
Senator Ted Cruz.
Hugh, good morning. We're doing terrific.
Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. Good morning, Mr. Speaker. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Senator Tom Cotton. He joins me now. Good morning, Senator.
Good morning, Hugh. It's good to be on with you.
Trusted local news and talk about coronavirus. 1030 The Voice.
This is The Voice, 1030, Tucson's trusted news and talk.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And as we wait for Julius to call us, we'll just continue with our sports talk. You know what? I thought I really appreciate what he did. He came in, he called. We had him for 40 minutes, a lot of fun.
Right.
And he said he might be coming back.
Yeah, he said he had a good time. Would like to come back on sort of a regular basis, and would love to have him. I mean, again, we're a college town. Mm-hmm. Most of our sports revolve around the U of A. We do have some other stuff going on. We've got some pro sports and that type of thing. But people want to know what's going on at the U of A.
Right.
And it's kind of a it's sort of the roots of our sports here and have been forever and ever.
And if there is a guy with information, it's going to be him. Right.
Sure. And and Dave has been up front. I mean, we obviously aren't going to get everything out of him that we ever want, but he was very straightforward with us and told us answered all our questions. We had fun.
Yeah.
Didn't really get his walk-up song.
No.
We got a walk-up group, but not his song.
I got him a little flustered, which is kind of strange. But we'll get to that eventually. Hey, now we have Julius Soto on the line. Julius, how are you? Good afternoon.
I'm doing fine. How you guys doing?
Great to hear from you. Hey, I figured you were eating pineapple, sipping on a Mai Tai somewhere. You said you were retiring last year, but they brought you back.
Yeah. I'm back. I'm back for For now, I'm back, yeah.
What was your thinking on coming back and being the president of the association?
Well, to be honest with you, I wasn't planning on it, but some things happened, and I was the person that had to stick around and make sure once the leadership is passed on, that it's passed on the right way. So, and to some people that's willing to take it on.
So, Julius, this is Jay Gonzales. So I'm guessing that in your wildest dreams, you never came up with a scenario that you're dealing with now to get this, huge program going and get kids on the football field. So just kind of run through some of the things that you had to consider and that you're thinking about as we go along and try to get football started in the fall for the kids here in Tucson.
Well, some of the things we had to consider was, what was the leadership going to provide to us? And what I mean by that is the city and the state and the governor's office. And right now, that leadership is coming in bits and pieces as far as what the guidelines are, what we can and what we can't do. So my thing is, after, battling with this thing for the last, 3 months or 4 months, and listening to everyone and seeing other programs, I thought it was only fair who have a better pay grade than mine, an opportunity to play. And something else different.
Hey, Julius, are you on the road? Is that what you're doing? Are you on the road?
So I just got home.
Oh, just got home. Okay, because you're breaking up.
5.5 hours.
Oh yeah, I figured you were on the road somewhere. I saw your Facebook post that you were on the hills somewhere.
Yeah, and I don't know what. I guess the T-Mobile phones are having issues.
Oh, that's right. All day today, phone.
Okay.
There have been phone issues all over the country.
Yeah.
So you made the announcement over the weekend, I guess, that football's going to go on. So what are the big issues? What are the big things that have to get done for this to truly happen?
Well, some of the things that have to get done is, first of all, we got to make sure all the parents are on board. We got to make sure all the parents understand, the risks that are involved. Because there's things that we can't control. But as long as we're educating our parents as far as what we're going to do to take the necessary precautions to make sure the kids are safe, and we got guidelines in place to try to get that done. But it's important that the parents are educated and they understand that it's going to take a lot of input. It's going to take them doing their part as well. So that's pretty much it.
Julius, in a normal situation, when would you be starting? And obviously this is not a normal situation. So are you holding off for a while to get more information to start later, or are you going to start as planned?
No, we normally would start in July, but we moved the season back until the start date back until August. And the reason why we moved it back to August 10th, which is happened to fall on my birthday, is because we wanted to give some of our associations an opportunity in the time they need, to collect funds, be able to purchase uniforms and get the stuff that they need. Because once everything shut down, it put a lot of stuff on hold, like getting helmets certified, shoulder pads certified, uniforms for different programs. They were ordering that stuff. So there's like a 2-month delay. So, those are some of the logistical problems that we're facing right now, and hopefully those will be resolved, within the next couple of weeks, so we can get some of that stuff taken care of. Now that we're going to move the date back.
Gosh, Julius, that's another one of those things you just don't think of in terms of, I don't, sitting from where I sit, don't think of thinking about the impact that something as routine, I guess, as getting uniforms and helmets and all that kind of stuff, how all that got delayed by all this stuff going on. Are other things in place like, getting fields and getting volunteers and all the stuff that has to come together in order for a season to happen? How is that all? Is it all compressed into a shorter period of time, and is it just taking extra time and extra work to get all this done and get things ready?
Well, our volunteers are there, though. We've got all our kids signed up. We got coaches signed up. We have volunteers already in place and willing to, put in the work. As far as the fields go, I just got a notice today from the city and where they're going to start taking reservations for field reservations and stuff like that. So hopefully that ban will be lifted on the 22nd or 23rd, I think, by the mayor. And so we'll be able to, start getting some conditioning drills in and stuff like that. As far as what we're trying to do, with just making sure that we do what we need to do with the county and stuff like that. Because the county is open for the most, not the county, but like Marana Parks and Rec and Ore Valley. They're allowing kids to come out and practice and do stuff. Like there's soccer teams out there, there's baseball teams out there doing their thing. So we're just waiting on the city to give us, the go-ahead to do what we need. And as far as the fields go for games and stuff like that, we still, right now, if we had to play today, nobody would play because the high schools couldn't even play. But once all that stuff gets resolved, I think, we'll still be allowed to use the high school fields and things of that nature. I haven't been told that we can't. I've just been told that it's going to be on hold and there might be some stringent things put in place, We might only be able to allow a certain amount of people. It might just be mom, dad, and 2 siblings. Who knows?
I would assume that you've been in touch with a lot of the parents, or they've been in touch with you, and they're the ones that have kind of been not questioning you, but encouraging you to have a season, because they're, the parents love to see their kids play. Yeah,
and you're exactly right. I mean, I'm sure I haven't made a lot of people happy over the past, 3.5 months because of the uncertainty. And my thing is, I just wasn't willing to make a decision, a hasty decision. In other words, I didn't want to be reactive.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to look at everything and play this thing out and see how we could go about doing the best job we can do to protect our kids and the volunteers and the coaches and so forth. Because our resources are totally different than the resources at the high school and the college level and the pro level. There's only so many things we can do, but if we do those things that we put in place, we got to do them right, and we got to do them all the time, and we got to be consistent about it. So there was a lot of parents that wanted to play, wanted us to have a season, and then there were some parents who were leery about having a season. And my thing is, I'm not upset with people that want to play. If you want to register your child, register, and again we'll go from there. Anybody that doesn't want to play, I respect that as well. And hopefully they'll come back next year and get that season back in, or allow their kids an opportunity to play the following year. But we got to take into consideration some parents are going to want to play and some parents aren't.
Right, Julius. We had Dave Hickey on Friday, and just talking about all the protocols that they're putting in place for athletes to start working out and stuff like that. Saw a little video of how that's set up at Arizona Stadium and stuff like that. I mean, how do you guys plan to be able to get kids on the field and working and stuff like that, and avoid or do everything you can to avoid the risk? I mean, what's that going to look like?
Well, right now, some of the things that we're putting in place is we're going to have the parents take the kids' temperatures prior to coming to practice. If the kid has a temperature, we're asking you to keep that kid home. If the kid should come to practice, we're going to retake his or her temperature again. And depending on what that temperature says, we'll let them sit for 10 or 15 minutes and take it again. And if that temperature is still high, we'll take it a third time. After that, we'll tell the parents, hey, look, we're not going to let, Tony practice today. Take him home. You might take him to CVS, Walgreens, Walmart, or to your pediatrician, or just to see. You might have an ear
right.
infection, just so we can make sure. We're not saying take him to see if he got COVID-19. We just want you to find out why does he have a temperature. And if they say the temperature is because he has an ear infection or he's just running a fever, you show us that information, comes back to practice the next day. Because we got to respect HIPAA laws and things like that, so we won't be announcing to anybody just that Tony tested positive for COVID-19.
Right.
Got to be a private conversation with us and the parents, and then we'll go from there. But some of the things we're doing is having everything's going to be disinfected at practice, where coach is going to be responsible for wiping down the balls, wiping down the equipment. When the kids get home, their parents are going to be responsible for wiping down the equipment, the helmet, shoulder pads, thigh pads, knee pads on a daily basis, washing their uniforms every day in hot water just to make sure. And, and then we're going to try not to do as much contact as we would do in the past.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to limit the amount of contact we do. And those are just some of the things that, that we're planning on doing. And hopefully, it'll work out every practice. Each station will have its own.
We got to go, Julius. We got to go. Hey, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, sorry, Julius. We got a break.
All right.
Thank you.
CBS News at the top and bottom of every hour. 1030 The Voice.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Wall Street's renewed worries about the coronavirus disappeared after the Fed promised to buy a wide range of individual corporate bonds this week as part of an emergency program. That inoculated traders against their worries that the coronavirus might be ready to surge again. and the Dow rose 158 points, the Nasdaq 137, the S&P 25. Gains of 0.6 to nearly 1.5%. Lingering effects from the pandemic, however, are expected to ground demand for air travel for a few years. The travel search site Kayak says figure on 2023 for a return to pre-COVID levels. In the business world, some of that demand may be gone for good. Dow Jones reports both executives and employees have decided some of the meetings that they traveled to before can be handled just as well via video conference. And there's a report Tesla is apparently serious about putting a car assembly plant near Austin, Texas. Joan Doniger, Bloomberg Radio.
CBS News Update. The family of a 27-year-old black man shot and killed by police in Atlanta is distraught and calling for criminal justice reform. Rayshard Brooks was shot twice in the back by a white officer who was trying to arrest him. His widow, Tamika.
The trust that we have with the police force is broken. And the only way to heal some of these wounds is through a conviction and a drastic change with the police department.
Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms is heeding the call for change. She immediately issued executive orders amending police use of force.
If a police officer sees another officer using force, which is beyond reasonable under the circumstances, that they are duty-bound to intercede and prevent that use of force and must immediately report the use of such force to an on-duty supervisor.
CBS News Update, I'm Pam Coulter.
Go local. Make the switch. At Hughes Federal Credit Union, we offer customized solutions and get you what you need faster. Like our quick and easy credit cards and auto loans. All done online from start to finish. Save time using mobile banking, bill pay, mobile deposit, and mobile pay with just a few clicks. Live large, accessing 30,000 plus surcharge-free ATMs and free debit card choices. Make the switch to Hughes today. Visit hughesfcu.org/switch. Certain restrictions apply, insured by NCUA.
It could be the best years of your life. In retirement, you'll finally get to do what you want to do. Travel, golf, spend time with the grandkids, or just relax at home. But you have to plan for it. Start by tuning in to John Hagenson every Saturday morning at 7 for Rethink Your Money with Keystone Wealth Partners. Make retirement the best time of your life. Tune in Saturday mornings at 7 for Rethink Your Money with Keystone Wealth Partners and John Hagenson. Keystone Wealth Partners is a registered investment advisory firm.
Tucson's source for trusted news and talk. 1030, The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Eye on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. And Jay Gonzales, you're listening to my walk-up song right now.
Oh, this is it, huh?
This would be it. Because a pitcher would say, that was suspicious. How did he get a single? How in the world did that kid get a single?
Yeah, you know, our friend Javier Morales posted something about walk-up songs, and I just kind of threw it in there and said I'd go with Fantasy by Earth, Wind, and Fire. I'm sure it would be an Earth, Wind, and Fire song because that's just my favorite band.
Uh-huh.
Fantasy seems like the best. You know, my favorite all-time Earth, Wind, and Fire song is September. But I'm not sure that that's a walk-up song.
That's not a walk-up
So,
song.
you know,
that's a walk-off song with your girl after the
it could be Shining Star. You know, it could be I don't know. There's a whole. I mean, you know, I've got the whole library there. So and there's a couple of they're more obscure songs that weren't great hits, but that are great songs. So
right.
I'll just say it would be an Earth, Wind, and Fire song. I'm just not 100% sure which one it would be.
Could be Fantasy. How did Jake get a single?
But exactly. I just never got to play it anywhere where I needed a walk-up song, unfortunately.
That's where we're talking old school.
Most of my baseball career was just in a city league, recreational league. And
hey, you, get off the field.
And it was just get up here and hit, will you, please?
or hey, guys, get your gloves ready. We're going on the
Exactly. Oh, you want me to go play second base?
Yeah. Hey, so you see in
there
the
you go. Tom is putting it on.
Actually,
for us.
this is a
right
good
here.
song.
Now
right
batting,
here. Right there.
Jay.
I think that's a good one.
Gonzales.
I think that's a good one. You know,
I do too.
Now that I
like
hear it, you know, if you started at the right spot, that's me coming up to bat.
See,
You
I
know,
like it.
and then 3 pitches and I sit down.
It was a fantasy that
you throw me 3 fastballs, I'm gone. Throw me a curveball, and I'm going to be on base.
Oh, okay. You did say that last week. So you see the NFL's coming up with some negatives too. Everyone's going to have
everybody. You know, and again, you know, we got to. There's still a lot that has to happen, but what. You know, where I'm having some, I don't know if I want to call it heartburn, because if these guys are going to screw it up and they're not going to play, then that's on them. It sounds like Major League Baseball is got to be a bigger mess,
right.
and now there's just a lot of talk that there's not going to be a season.
Mm-hmm.
And if those guys screw that up, I mean, then you know what? Whatever happens to your sport for the long term, that's on you.
I don't like politics. I really hate talking politics, but let me kind of maybe just infer. So baseball's doing what it's doing to PO the fan base, right? You think if they do not play, they're going to really PO off the fan base.
Right.
Okay, so now the NFL and the guys decide to kneel. You know that there's a fan base that just absolutely hates that.
Right.
Who's shooting themselves in the foot more?
Major League Baseball.
Because they're doing it to themselves?
Right. Because you and I who sit here and, you know, earn whatever we earn for a living.
Doing what we love.
Yeah. And these guys are playing baseball. And
doing for the same
and the millions of dollars
right.
that they're making just isn't enough.
Mm-hmm.
That I think that's a bigger problem. You know, with the NFL and the kneeling and all that stuff. Yes, you're going to turn some people off, but you're also going to get people to watch who support that
because people love football.
Right. And football has a little bit of a different bar as far as that goes, as far as what's going to make somebody not watch football.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, you know, yes, there's going to be some people out there who are going to hate it and aren't going to watch it because guys are kneeling, but it's not going to turn people off the way I think people are going to get turned off by the billions of dollars that are to be made with Major League Baseball, and they can't agree how to divvy that up.
Tom, where do you stand?
First of all, I think that people have no interest in bickering between millionaires and billionaires as far as sympathy or empathy go.
Mm-hmm.
So baseball's arguments ring hollow on both sides. So the fact that the fight is over money, and make no mistake, it's over money, is what will turn more people off. When it comes to the National Football League, I agree with Jay when he says that that's a fan base. I think you almost have to push them over the cliff at the point of a cattle prod to get them to no longer like your game. Whatever you happen to think about Commissioner Goodell and his flip-flop on his stance now, and here's the thing. To me, if you hire Colin Kaepernick now to be your quarterback, that is a tacit admission by the entire league that the whole reason this guy didn't have a job was based on the fact that he was protesting and wanted to say Black Lives Matter and police violence needed to end. And that's a complete and total admission to that, and everything the NFL has spent years backtracking and covering themselves on and saying that's not it. If he gets a job, that is 100%
Well,
it.
you know, by using the word tacit, that you know that's exactly it.
Right. It is. And so, but to Jay's point, yes, I think football fans will come back. They'll take a severe beating and come back. But you know what? Baseball fans have taken several severe beatings, I'll say the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
I tuned out, maybe even, let's go back a little further, but the strike in 94, that made me so angry. I really didn't come back to baseball till the home run chase.
Well, in fact, we'll talk about that right now because last night they had the McGuire-Sosa thing, and he talked about how people got disgruntled in the early 90s, came back because of the home run stuff.
Right, but that's because they didn't know what the hell was going on, right?
And then they jumped again.
You know, and I did not watch it, and I did not watch it for that reason, because I didn't want to see these guys glorified.
And they were until the end.
Yeah,
well, even at the end, it was kind of like, just let's not talk about it.
They cheated like crazy, and that bothers me. Yeah. It bothers me. Look, it's gotten to the point where, and I think I've brought this up. I've got a friend who's been a Cincinnati Reds fan since we were all little kids, and we fight over Pete Rose being in the Hall of Fame all the time. Pete didn't cheat. He just bet on baseball. And
he bet on his team.
He bet on his team, and he bet on his team to win. I had a problem. I didn't think he should belong in the he should be in the Hall of Fame for all that, because it was a rule, and he broke the rule, and he knew he was breaking the rule. And
it seems like you
get what you get. If they're going to let these other guys in, and everybody says, well, Barry Bonds should be in, and these guys, if those guys get in, then let Pete in. In fact, I'd let Pete in before I'd let those guys in.
I was surprised because I used to be a huge fan, and I could give a flip anymore. McGuire's in, right?
No.
They gave him a yellow jacket or a red jacket in St. Louis. They put him in there.
No. McGuire, Sosa, Bonds,
all those guys.
Okay. Clemens, none of those guys are in.
When I was watching, I started thinking, how did he get a jacket?
Yeah.
But it's right. It was the St. Louis.
And I don't think those guys should be in. Barry Bonds is the one who makes me the maddest because he would have gotten into the Hall of Fame anyways.
Sure.
He was the best player in baseball when he was a 180-pound outfielder. Okay, and couldn't throw out Sid Bream at home plate in the playoffs.
Right. I remember that.
He was going to be a Hall of Famer, but that wasn't good enough for him. He wanted to be what he became.
Well,
and he cheated to get there.
He was upset about those guys chasing the prize.
He got upset about the things that McGuire and Sosa were doing, so he cheated for that reason. And throw in the fact that the guy went to ASU, and I don't want that guy anywhere near the Hall of Fame.
He should have gotten a Duke.
Wait, and on top of everything else, by all accounts, he was a jerk.
Oh, he was a jerk, yeah. That's the one thing where I draw the line,
So
because
you know what?
a lot of the guys.
No. If I'm voting, that guy's never getting in the Hall of Fame.
I like 4 or 5 of your arguments because I don't really like him either, because the jerk is the topper.
Right.
You've had enough of the Julio Francos of the world.
All those guys.
Yeah.
And then, McGuire and Sosa, I'm sorry, they cheated the hell out of it.
Yeah.
And so I don't want to see those guys in the Hall of Fame. And I've heard Bob Costas say, okay, create a separate steroid era section of the Hall of Fame and put them there. I'm like, no. If you're going to do that, that means they don't deserve to be there because they cheated the game. I'm sorry. I just don't believe that Roger Clemens got better as he got older.
How this may be a dumb question. How important do you think it is to them to be in? You know what I'm saying? You accomplished what you accomplished. That's like the USC stuff with Bush. Okay. Yeah. Well, we still won.
Yeah.
And they were.
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to know because I would think that they've probably come to grips with the fact that they're not getting in. So they're going to, in their minds, they're going to say it's not that big a deal. Do they want to be in? I bet they do. I'd want to be in the Hall of Fame if I thought I deserved it, but. Would I cheat myself to get there? Here, who it's going to be an interesting one is I can't think of his name. Alex Rodriguez.
Oh yeah,
is A-Rod going to get in?
He was one of the guys too. He's rehabbed his career pretty well.
He's rehabbed his career and he's become a likable guy, and he's got Jennifer Lopez on his arm. Which
that's Hall of Fame enough.
Jennifer Lopez is top 10 for me, right? But he got caught cheating twice.
Yeah, in fact, I think the majority of the country who follow baseball for a long time think Pete Rose, like you said, deserve more inside than they do.
I think I'm gonna concede that to my friend Dale, we've been fighting since since it all came out that whether or not Pete Rose should be in.
Plus, it's been many moons ago.
Right.
People forget the past.
Sure.
Revisionist history, whatever. And the one thing I don't like of Pete, and I follow Pete. I have stuff in my house with Pete. He too is a jerk.
Oh, yeah, but the thing about Pete is, and a big part of why I've not wanted him in the Hall of Fame is because I was a Dodger fan, and I hated when the Dodgers played against that guy because he always crushed.
I'll take my 75 and 76 over your 88.
So and 81. Okay, we had it in 81.
No, that's
as well.
Fernando Velez.
Right, but again, so that gets back to why I didn't watch. The thing last night. I didn't watch the Lance Armstrong thing. When they did that one because again,
same
I just don't want to. To me, they cheated. As far as I'm concerned, they're off the reservation. Off the island. I don't want to hear about them anymore. I don't want to talk about them anymore. I don't want to glorify them anymore.
Thomas,
here's the thing. The phrase that comes up. And it started with Pete Rose, but it now extends, I think, to all these other arguments as to whether or not guys should be in the Hall of Fame. We always hear about the integrity of baseball and the integrity of the game. If you believe, and I'm saying this with a straight face, believe it or not, but if you believe that the integrity of the game was violated by any of this, then none of them belong in the Hall of Fame. And it is just that simple. Now, the integrity of the game is something that I would deliver with a smirk, but if that is your argument for why one guy's not in, then they all must not get in.
When you're getting that sentence, I hear you loud and clear because it's funny because baseball talks about integrity of the game. When did it have it? But it didn't have it. You wish it had it, but I'm 56, and
Yeah,
for
I
half,
mean, you know,
half my life, it's been
The mythos of what it's supposed to have versus the reality.
Yes.
Well,
since 1918 or whatever that was. Come on.
But there's certain acceptable cheating, right?
Oh,
like
stealing
spitballs,
science.
like spitballs and
Emery boards, sandpaper.
I mean, there's certain things like that.
Corking bats.
I mean, you can't. Okay, you can't. I kind of draw the line at corking bats. I don't like the stuff. Using technology to steal signs and stuff like that. But a guy throwing a spitball, and putting a little Vaseline underneath the bill of his cap and that type of stuff. I'm kind of okay with that.
Well, if it's a fastball, what the hell, you're going to hit it anyway. But a curveball, maybe.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of that. But when you're taking steroids and hitting home runs that you wouldn't otherwise hit, I got a big problem with that.
I get it. We all have our lines in the
We
sand.
we have our lines in the sand, right? Yeah, we do.
Let's take a quick break. Our last one here on 1030 The Voice.
We have lots of ideas and even some solutions. 1030, The Voice.
There's a place in our house. For 70 years, Benjamin Supply has been keeping Tucson flowing. Hygiene is our business. We help you achieve extreme clean. Minimize germ spreading with a hands-free sensor faucet. Forget the paper panic with a washlet seat. And speaking of waterworks, a big thanks to plumbers for their essential efforts during this health crisis. Shop our downtown showroom by appointment. Call us at 777-7000 or see all the products online at benjaminsupply.com.
Thanks to Benjamin Plumbing Supply.
This is Bill Buckmaster. Coming up Tuesday during the noon hour, we'll have a newsmaker interview with Tucson City Councilman Paul Cunningham. Also, financial commentator and consultant Shelley Fishman with our Your Money Report. Buckmaster during the noon hour on 1030, Tucson's voice for trusted news talk. We're always on, yes, 24/7 on my website, buckmastershow.com.
Trusted local news and talk all day, every day. 1030 The Voice.
Hey, welcome back to Why on the Ball here on 1030 The Voice. I'm Steve Rivera alongside Jay Gonzales. So it's been about 3 days. I hope you've had a drink or two, Jay, and you've had some time to reflect on your selections from last week's football season and come to your senses and said, you know what, I could be wrong.
I'm sticking with it. I'm going 6-6. I'm even leaning towards a little 7-5.
Oh,
I saw the poll that Javier Morales put up on Facebook and Twitter. There's some people in my camp. There's a few.
Who are they?
They were like, it was like 20% said 6-6. So
there's 80.
There's some people.
Crazy.
There's some people out there. I haven't talked to my brother Rick, who's to see if he's still at 10-2.
What's Gene say? Because Gene's level-headed.
Gene will say like 7-5.
Oh, then he's not as level-headed.
No, he's not. No, he's not. But Gene goes up and down.
Your wife has 7-5.
My wife went 7-5, but when I got home, she said she kind of messed that up. So I'm not sure where she's at. But my brother Gene, again, he loses his mind like everybody else. And one of the great stories about that is he left at halftime of the Cal Arizona whiteout game that Arizona came back and won on the
Hail Mary?
On the Hail Mary.
Yeah.
He was so mad that he left at halftime and he went back to our tailgate area and listened to it on the radio from there. And we taunted him for the rest of the season. And in fact, the game came on yesterday morning on Pac-12 networks. And I felt like dropping him a text message saying, "Hey, here's that game that you missed." But Gene will say he'll say 7-5.
Well, half the crowd in that place usually misses the good stuff because they're gone by halftime.
Well, sure, and that was a game that I stayed at just because I don't leave games early.
Especially Cal. Let me tell you, Cal game is always a mystery.
There've been a handful of games, and some of them more recently as I've gotten older, and the games have gotten later where maybe I'll leave. Mm-hmm. But I generally stay to the bitter end just because. it's just a thing. And I was telling Ricky Hundley last week that they played so bad in that 1980 ASU game. That was the first game that I had ever left early up until that point.
He didn't blame you. He didn't blame you.
Yeah, he didn't blame. And you've gotten to see some great things. There was a Texas Tech game in the mid 70s that Arizona was down like 28-3 and came back and won that game in the second half. Again, a cousin that I went to that game with actually went home from that game at halftime and tore up the rest of his tickets for the rest of the season, then had to tape them all back together to be able to come to the rest of the games.
That's a good story. They've had a lot of stuff. Last second game winners. The Oklahoma game, I'll never forget. It was a boring, good game.
That was a hard game to watch, as I recall.
6-3.
It was a hard game to watch, but you got to the end of that game, and I remember being in that locker room, and the first thing I saw when I walked in the locker room was Glenn Parker sitting on a stool, kind of just his head down, and you could tell he had just been beat to heck. And I used that as the lead of my story, talking about Glenn Parker looked like he had just been beating a rock with a sledgehammer for hours. And and then
it was that game.
And it was that kind of a game that these guys just pounded each other. And
John Pena,
and all those
Parker.
guys, and they won that game.
Yeah, after losing to them in Oklahoma the year before.
Right, and not doing very good. There it is. My brother Gene just texted me. He's going 7-5. I called it. Did I call it or did I not call it?
You guys are a bunch of optimists.
You know what? We have to make ourselves feel good about going to those games, right? If I'm thinking they're going 4-8, then why would I even
invested.
go?
You are invested.
I am.
Emotionally and financially.
I'm going with hope. I'm going with some hope.
Tom, so I know you don't have any hope on very many things. You're not going 7-5.
3.5 is my over/under for the season.
I'll go over about at 4.
Okay. I was last time we went through the schedule, and obviously I wasn't here last week, but my opinion hasn't changed that much. I had him at 3 wins, and maybe 4 if things break the right way. I'm still going to go to the games. I'll still sit there all 4 quarters because I'm that guy.
You're that guy, yes.
And I will watch the games. But, see, that's the thing is I don't need to feel optimistic to go. I'm going to go because I'm going to have a good time anyway. Mm-hmm. But I'm also not a dyed-in-the-wool Arizona fan who bleeds it like Jay. Jay needs to feel optimistic to go and have a good time, I think, sometimes. And that's
actually, no, because, Tom, I sat through all those Makovic games.
Oh, yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
I went through it and didn't leave one of those games early. In fact, a friend of mine got upset because if you remember during that time, LSU came to town. Yeah. And I got my picture taken with their Tiger mascot. And some friends of mine were upset at me about that. Some people around McHale saying, "Why would you do that?" I'm like, we were getting crushed. Okay, we were just trying to have fun.
What else is there to do?
Exactly. So look, I'm gonna go to the games, and I want to have some hope. And look, again, we're talking about at some point I got to get my butt to a Rose Bowl.
So, because you've been in the business, I'll ask you openly. When you go, do you cheer for them or do you sit and watch them?
It's funny because I don't cheer like I cheered before I was a reporter.
Right.
Because I would lose.
That's why
I would lose my mind. I mean, I recall the '86 game against ASU. I had been a reporter for a little while there. Actually, on the Chuck Cecil game,
mm-hmm.
I actually had flown back from Alaska. From Vegas, because the U of A had played in the preseason they played in the preseason NIT against UNLV, and I flew home the morning of that game and came straight from the airport to the stadium to go to that game. So I was and I don't remember whose back it was that I jumped on when Chuck Cecil scored that touchdown, but I was on somebody's back, sitting who was in my section.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it was one of my brothers or a friend that sat with us. And so I had lost my mind over that play. And that's how I used to cheer. I became a reporter and covered the team. Now, when I go to the games, I watch the game.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't get in on the cheer. Now, yes, when they score a touchdown, do I stand up and, clap
mm-hmm.
and that kind of stuff? But I'm a little more focused on the game itself and what's going on. I'm one of those guys that listens to Brian Jeffries at the same time because I want to know what's going on. if somebody comes out of the game, I want to know, is that guy hurt? Is he not playing? Why? I like to know more about the game than just, is Arizona winning or losing?
No, because I asked that reason, the question for that exact reason. I don't cheer at all. I assume that if you had $10 on the game, you cheer? Or inside, maybe?
No, because I don't want my wife to know if I bet on the game. so
she
no.
probably already knows you do.
And so, it's actually, you know what? I honestly, I don't bet on Arizona games.
No. I'm talking not Arizona games. I'm talking about just a normal game.
Oh, on
Chicago
game?
versus Green Bay.
Yeah. She knows when I have. If I'm in, a football pool and I picked a team or whatever.
So no. So no cheering at U of A games, but normal games, regular games.
I lose my mind.
Okay. See, I just watch now. I'm not a fan of anything anymore.
If I'm one of those guys who gets Sunday ticket. NFL Sunday ticket.
And you're yelling at the TV?
And I'm yelling at the TV for the teams that I've picked in the pool that I'm in. So, or yelling about my fantasy players.
That's too much to work with.
I do lose my mind, and I'll turn off the TV and I'll go in another room, or I'll go out. I'll be so mad at a game, I'll go out and do yard work.
She probably wishes that.
So, absolutely, it's
No, I'm talking about overall.
No,
so
when
U of A
if there's a game I've got an interest in and it's not an Arizona game, yes, I'm yelling at the TV. I'm yelling if I'm in whatever. Yeah, I will.
Thomas, are you?
So I'm going to, and you may think this is splitting hairs, but I see it as two distinct things, cheering versus rooting. I will root. If Tucson got a Major League Baseball team tomorrow, I would be there. I'd go to the games. I would root for that team. But I'm not much of a cheerer anymore because I have, Steve, like you guys, spent too much time around locker rooms and working for and around teams. Yeah. And so I guess I don't outright cheer anymore. That's been kind of knocked out of me. I'll root for guys. I'll root for stories. I'll root for my favorite players. I'll root to see things happen. If a guy can come up and has a chance to hit for the cycle, I'm going to root for that because I want to see a guy hit for the cycle. But, I don't know that I'll ever cheer for a team again in my life. Even now, the Buffalo Bills and the Toronto Blue Jays are really the last vestiges I have of fandom anywhere. And I root for them. I don't get crazy. Like a lot of my friends and family do, and I just don't have that in me anymore.
Vestiges and tacit. Is it tacit?
Tacit.
Tacit. 2 words today. I got to go Google after this show. But yeah, no. That's why I asked because when you're in this business, and we've all been in this business, it's like, why am I cheering? There's nothing to cheer about anymore.
Well, and and there are times when I sit there and I think, why am I upset about this?
right. At the end of the day,
I go, why am I getting a headache over this game?
I'm a 59-year-old, 60-year-old guy.
Right. What am I so upset about? Because in the end, the sun's going to come up tomorrow, and the food's going to taste the same. I don't know, but it's just so that I love sports, and it's a big part of who I am, I believe, and I put a lot into it. And I'm not unhappy that I do, because it's fun. I mean, if I put into politics what some people that I know put into politics, that stuff affects our lives.
Right.
And I just don't want to think about that.
Right.
I just assume put all my efforts into a football game because at the end of the day, whatever happened there doesn't really matter.
Right. Tom, you feel the same way, Tom?
Yes. I think that I have gotten better at leaving it behind me when it comes to sports and things that happen. And you know what? It's funny because remember growing up and you got so upset about games and your grandfather or your uncle or whatever be like, hey, it's only a game. And you're like, no, it's not. Actually, it is.
Yeah.
As it turns out.
Maturity, it finally hits at some point.
I know. It's crazy.
It is. And so it's just, I just love it. And that's why this period of time has been so hard, is to not have any of it around.
We have like 10 seconds. So did you cheer this weekend?
I did. I cheered for Justin Thomas. He didn't quite get there, but he did okay. But I watched the golf. It was a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to. I will be cheering hard at the Belmont.
Yes,
on Saturday.
I got you waiting for your Saturday. We'll talk more about that tomorrow. Nadi Carey tomorrow.
Nadi Carey back tomorrow after her situation last week, so we'll have fun talking to her tomorrow.
KVOI Cortero, AM 1030, the voice of Tucson. Trusted local news and talk. A Bustos media station.
This